All right, guys. How are you today? How are you doing? How are you doing? Welcome. Thank you for coming on. And why don't we just start off by giving like an introduction of yourself, your martial arts background, why you started martial arts.
My name's Rei. Started jiu-jitsu 10 years ago, and I'm training at BJJ.
My name is George. I started MMA maybe almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm training at BJJ.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, both of you are instructors right now, right? And, what you want to tell us, like what kind of classes you teach? What you're trying to share to your students whenever you teach? What kind of disciplines are you instructing right now?
I teach jiu-jitsu in BJJ and Yulong, and MMA class, Muay Thai class, but mainly jiu-jitsu. And,
I teach Muay Thai and beginner Nogi.
Okay. So what's like the goal you're trying to give your students, like whenever you teach them? Like, is there any particular like technique or theory or mindset behind your teaching?
to be honest, my teaching style is pretty relaxed. Like I don't really pressure them to like doing something they don't want to do. Like competition, if they don't want to do it, it's fine with me. But for my style, of course, I want them to learn the most they can from me. But my style is more relaxed and just want everyone to enjoy jiu-jitsu. They'll get better as they train anyway, so you need to force something on them.
Alright. What about you, George?
Pretty similar. I'm just pretty like relaxed, trying to keep it simple. Little bit of sparring every class, and just try to make it fun.
Okay. Nice. So Rei, ask you first. You come from a jiu-jitsu background, right? So and you also do MMA, right?
Well, train MMA.
Yeah.
I've never competed in MMA, so.
Okay. So what do you think the biggest difference is between jiu-jitsu and MMA? Say you're like a very high level jiu-jitsu guy.
Okay.
Trying to like transition into MMA.
Yeah.
What do you need to adapt? How do you adapt your game to suit cage fight?
For Hong Kong, I think you can kind of get away with being a pure jiu-jitsu guy,
Yeah.
doing MMA like fights here, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are not the same level of jiu-jitsu as some of us are.
Yeah.
But if you go to overseas, you probably need to really work your striking, wrestling. You gotta be all rounded,
Yeah.
Maybe your first few fights you can get away with some jiu-jitsu, but
Yeah.
once you fight someone good like you think, then you gotta start having that wrestling and you gotta mix it up with jiu-jitsu as well. So that's the biggest difference for me.
Was it a easy transition from jiu-jitsu to MMA? I'm assuming you just did jiu-jitsu first. And then
Yeah, of course, jiu-jitsu only first. Even now, just pure jiu-jitsu actually. For me, I didn't really train striking. I just spar with random people, but I guess it improved from there. So. Plus, I don't really have goals to fight in MMA. I'm just training for fun. That's about it. Yeah.
It's cool. And George, I know that you have a lot of striking fights, right?
A lot.
Last year, how many times did you compete in general?
Maybe I did like around 14.
Wow.
40 plus.
14.
40.
That's crazy. But more than half was striking. You think?
Yeah, more than true.
So, what do you think? Like the biggest difference between pure striking and MMA fighters? How would you adjust your striking to make it work for you?
Well, in kickboxing, we do a lot of kicks because usually it impresses the judges more.
Yeah.
They kick more, do high kicks. In MMA, we do less kicks and more punches. And the hands are a little bit lower, so we can score stop takedowns.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So, what was the favorite thing about competing for you? Why do you do it so much?
The audience.
Audience?
Yeah, I like the audience.
That's cool. You're someone who thrives under a crowd,
Yeah.
right?
I'm the complete opposite because I don't really like a crowd. Whenever I have a jiu-jitsu match or something, I tell everyone, like, please don't come. Because I want to just concentrate for myself. If there's a bunch of people watching me, then I feel pressure to do good. I gotta win, especially with my reputation in Hong Kong. Like, if I start losing to like a blue belt or something, then it's a lot of pressure on me, So I prefer not having anyone there.
That's cool. All right. So let's move on. So let's talk about a bit about jiu-jitsu. There's for those who don't know, there's two types of, in general, there's like two types of jiu-jitsu. One is in a gi, where you wear like Yeah, you want to explain? You want to explain the difference between gi and no gi?
It's just one is with the kimono and
Yeah.
you grab shit. You know, the other one is no gi, like submission grappling. Yeah, the difference is just you can hold, I guess, you can grab
Okay.
things and stuff.
So, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, do you think we should be doing gi and no gi, or one or the other? And what are your thoughts on this?
As a jiu-jitsu guy, yeah, definitely. If you want to get a higher level, you should do both. Of course, you can succeed really well in one, but plus it gets boring doing the same thing for a long time.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you gotta like do a little bit of no gi on that day, gi on this day, and MMA sometimes striking.
Yeah.
But of course, you can if you want to just do it as a hobby, you can just do one thing for your whole life. But you know, so,
Nice. And what do you think the best rule set is for BJJ? You know, right now there's a lot of different rule sets. It's kind of all over the place, right? So, I mean, for one, first for entertainment purposes,
Yeah.
and second for competition or real life street purposes.
right. For the crowd, obviously probably more no-gi, like wrestling kind of submission grappling. Like ADCC style is really fun to watch for people. When you put on like the gi, some people are very exciting too, like Andre Galvao and stuff. But if you're just talking like the Paulo Miao, these kind of people, yeah, like even me, when I love jiu-jitsu, but when I watch that, like, you know, it helps me sleep. So,
So what about for like a real application? Real life application?
probably MMA or something, you know. Wrestling, I would say wrestling would be the best for real life application. Obviously, no gi with the take. If you don't have takedowns, then it doesn't work on the streets, I would say.
So yeah, anyone jiu-jitsu guys watching this,
Yeah.
learn your takedowns.
Yep,
Learn your
fucking
takedowns.
takedowns, man.
Okay. So George, what do you think the best rule set for striking in MMA is?
Oh, MMA. Maybe like something like shoeboxing or sandal is pretty good.
Okay.
Because they have takedowns and you can move around a lot.
Yeah. So you wouldn't go with like pure boxing or Muay Thai?
Boxing is pretty good, but it's like there's no takedowns and there's no kicks.
So yeah, you basically have to mix it and learn do everything, right?
Yes.
Not one style that fits all, right? Okay. Yeah, that's cool. So moving on. You want to describe a bit the scene in Hong Kong right now, martial arts scene. What's going well? What's not going so well?
Which one do you start? I don't really know.
There's not much going on right now. Just doing knockouts.
Oh yeah, that's the, I forgot about that.
It's depressing. So
We're
you're gonna do
training
it
for a
right.
while.
We haven't been training for a long time. So.
Just some running maybe.
But the scene for jiu-jitsu in Hong Kong before the COVID, it's so hard to find a spot because no one wants to organize something and put the money in. Because there's no money like for jiu-jitsu in Hong Kong. Like each person pays like 200 or whatever, but the venue probably costs like 30 grand or something. So and the staff you have to have too, time. So probably not many. Like the only people I know running competitions by Taki, like Espada, which is pretty free, right? So I wish there would be more organizers, you know, like maybe working together, different gyms to actually put up the money. Besides that, it's like there's like 2 big competitions in Hong Kong a year, so it's not enough.
How would you say the level is compared to other countries?
To be honest, I would say Hong Kong is pretty high level. You know, I would say depends on the gym, of course. You know, some gyms maybe not as good. I'm not gonna give any names, but like, you know, some gyms are really like when I go to US or Japan, the level I would say Kowloon BJJ or something is pretty high.
It's good to hear.
It's really good. It's true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because I'm on my black belt. Let's cut that out. Taki's the best, you know.
Yeah. So what about you, George?
I think the striking is pretty good in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
There's a lot of Muay Thai, kickboxing.
Yeah.
KF1, pretty frequent competitions. Not bad in Hong Kong.
What do you think you can do to improve it?
More people competing. Just more social media.
And I don't know much about striking, but I would say if they actually put more effort into organizing, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just they don't really care about the amateurs or anything. They say, I go on this time, do this, and you don't have that preparation, you know. Like I saw some of your guys got a headgear or something. You get a headgear and stuff. It's like, if you really want to get better, you gotta, you know, run it as you would for the pros as well.
Having better intercoms too.
Exactly. And they always like last minute matchups, last minute cancellation. It's really annoying. You wouldn't get away with that in other countries.
So do you try to get all your students to compete as well, or what's your thoughts on to compete?
I would like them to compete, but I wouldn't like pressure anyone to compete. If they don't enjoy it, they're not gonna last for very long. So I just fight if they want to fight.
Interesting. So you have a lot of fighters in your gym right now? Or?
We have a few.
Yeah.
Not too much.
You want to give them a shout out? Or anyone who has like potential to give them some words of encouragement? You know,
They all have potential.
Okay.
I think the coach is fighting the most more than the students, you know. So.
Yeah, you gotta lead from the front, right?
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. What do you think the best style for MMA is?
It always seems to change it. Right now, it seems like wrestling is.
Wrestling. You want to elaborate? How so?
It just seems like if your wrestling is good, like you're more confident with your striking, and you can use your grappling more and take down if your wrestling is good.
What about you, Ray?
I would say the same too. Like if you have a really good wrestling, pretty good striking, you can always have two different things to go for. You know, if everyone knows your takedown sucks, no one's gonna worry about like you trying to take them down or anything. But if you're pretty balanced in both, you have to worry about your striking and also getting taken down. Which also jiu-jitsu helps too when you get to your ground level. Like wrestling, you have that ground control, everything. But the style right now is probably wrestling, like you said. You know?
So, say someone who just started MMA, let's say a young kid, they say they want to be really good in the future. Like, would you get them to train MMA only, or would you get them to train like separate disciplines? You know what I'm saying?
I think just let them train a few different things and see which they find the most enjoyable one, and then stick to the most they feel like they have more fun with. For example, if they like judo, then just judo for a few years.
And then when would you mix? Like, how many percent would you say MMA, and like how many percent would you say like just like?
You mean for like really young kids?
I mean, say like a 20-year-old,
Or for a 20-year-old,
or maybe younger.
maybe like 50% MMA.
Depends on their goals, but you're talking about MMA only.
Yeah, say they want to be good at MMA.
Then train obviously MMA. I would say MMA 100% of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
For a
If you
beginner?
really want to, really beginner, of course, yeah. Because once they're gonna start liking jiu-jitsu too much and they're gonna stop training like wrestling, or I would say if you keep going MMA, then you will learn all of it, you know, at the same time. I think striking is the only one you gotta kind of do it separately.
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu and wrestling, you can learn in MMA class. You know? Striking, definitely you gotta do a few sessions at some kickboxing gym or something.
Okay. Yeah. So, is there any technique you'd like to show?
Right now.
Your best technique.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, this is too bad.
Or, I don't know. What do you think?
What about you, George?
Maybe next time.
Alright.
Once the gym's open, you know.
Alright. Cool. That's cool. So yeah, guess that's all we have time for
Yeah.
today. Anyone you want to thank? You want to shout out?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ding, for today. Thank you, George, for being the boss of this gym that we're not at right now. This is just a random rooftop. And thank you, all my students. Keep training. Try to be a world champion or something.
You want to thank anyone? You want to thank like Dave.
Oh yes, Dave. Yes, sorry. Thanks Dave
I
for
forgot about it
opening
too.
Phoenix Fight Club, the first gym I trained MMA at almost 5 years ago. He's the reason why I started MMA. Thanks Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh yeah, one last question. Like, why do you do this? Like, what's about martial arts? Like, what's most appealing to you?
I just started in the beginning because my friends were doing it, but
In Hong Kong?
no, in honestly, I love jiu-jitsu, man. It's my number one thing, but that's why I keep doing it. Just passion.
Passion? That's cool.
Yeah, not to compete anymore, but just keep training and teaching now is my passion as well. So.
Why do you do this, George?
It's fun. It looks cool. I like to compete. I like the audience. You know, when you punch someone in the face, like everyone says, like, ooh, yeah. Even if maybe that doesn't hurt, but it still feels good to catch.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, hope thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy, and
See you in the next episode.
see you next time. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you.